Oh man, this is going to lead to some changes in the quote manosphere. Whatever happens to Tate with his case, only God knows, we'll see. But it won't stop the community at large in the magnifying glass we have on us here. Something as simple as male-female dynamics in the future could be considered hate speech, could be considered a true misogyny that will just blanket wipe you off a platform, right? Like you can't even discuss these things maybe in the future. I mean, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, just look at the progression of what is essentially allowed speech on these, captured platforms. It is what it is, guys. Oh, God. Have you guys seen this one? I haven't seen any part of this episode. Let's see, the demise of guys. I haven't seen this one, but everybody's requesting.
Has heard of Andrew Tate, the demise of guys.
This new idea that men and women are the same is complete garbage that's been invented, right?
Are you an Andrew Tate adherent? He describes a sexual encounter as slap.
Adherent? Fan, supporter, listener, any adherent. What is it, an ideology, dude? Are you making him into the new Jesus or something?
Grab, choke, it's how it should be.
Well, if it's consensual, it's all good.
Again, to the point where I've got to come on the Dr. Phil show and be an apologist for Andrew Tate, which I am not going to do.
If you give a man true free reign, completely be who you want to be, and you don't let society program you, he's going to drive a fast car, he's going to have a bunch of women, he's going to want to have a bunch of money, he's going to do whatever he wants, right? Whether a woman wants to be a lawyer or a housemaker or a webcam girl. Unless she has a man directing her, she's going to up. They're just not built to be completely independent creatures. Men and women are not the same. We've never been the same. This new idea that men and women are the same is complete garbage that's been invented, right? If a woman sleeps with multiple people, that's cheating. That's absolutely unacceptable on every level. If I have a woman who I truly love, and I go out and I come back to her, and I don't care about her, and I only love my girl, that's not cheating. That's exercise. If she even talks to a dude, it's cheating. Because females are emotionally invested. I have no emotional investment.
Oh, okay. Some of the women here, I think, might disagree with that a little bit. Moms out there, if you have a son, I bet you have no idea what is happening out there, so you might want to pull up a chair and listen. Our first guest, 24-year-old Ben, says when he was a teen, he had zero self-esteem, never got past the first date, and felt powerless with girls. But he says men like Andrew Tate inspired him to break out of his shell.
A woman's primary biological role is to make kids. So the more fertile she is, the prettier she is, the more feminine sexual energy she has. But for men, our primary biological purpose is to build things. A high status, high value man is a man who builds valuable things. That's where his masculine sexual energy comes from. So a man's gonna judge a woman first and foremost by how fertile she is. That's why men care about a woman being soft. Men care about a woman being pure and healthy and nurturing, good at cooking, cleaning, and all that jazz, while women care about a man's status and a man's value. Because that shows how good he is at building things, how good he is at taking care of his body and being strong enough to...
Did he go bald just like Andrew Tate?
to protect her and her children. It's not unfair that men care more about looks than women do. It's just how...
Yeah, this is essentially, to people saying this guy's weird or his vibe is off, this is what they do. They'll bring in kind of, it's not controlled opposition, but it is in a way. It's basically pushing the narrative by using the worst examples. Now, when you say the worst, I mean, the dude's getting his life together. I don't know. I haven't seen this. I wouldn't call him a plant, but they certainly choose people that makes it easy to build a case and an argument against, I would say.
How nature designs.
Here we go.
Wow. So you understand women.
See how they tear him down.
How do you understand women so well?
Oh, just life experience. I've put myself out there a lot and had my fair share of learning. I've read a lot and experienced a lot of different perspectives and did my best to put them all together.
You're a sexual energy coach.
Yes.
Help me with that. What is a sexual energy coach?
So I help men with their mindsets, getting in touch with their masculinity, figuring out their goals and what sorts of action steps they can take to make those goals real.
Now I'm starting to get like plant vibes, and the only reason I say that is because why would he come on there wearing this? Come on, guys. This is the controlled opposition here.
When it comes to dating and relationships.
But you don't have a girlfriend.
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. So you're telling other people how to get girlfriends and you don't have one.
Well, I teach them how to get in touch with their masculinity.
Okay.
And so my clients have found girlfriends because of me.
Okay. And how do you define masculinity?
Integrity under pressure.
And you were saying that women want a man that what?
They want a man who knows what he values, a man who's good at building something, a man who's multidimensional.
Oh, God, dude. This is like pulling teeth. Do you see what I mean? You see? It's very easy to disparage an idea when you bring on, it's really NPC thinking. This is how ideas get distilled down. It's like that game you play when you're a kid. And what's that game, guys, where you have to repeat the sentence in someone's ear, and by the time you get to the end of the line, it sounds completely different? This is somebody who's read about the game and then just distills it down in his telephone. It's a telephone. There you go, dude. We're in the land of telephone game where you're getting third, fourth, fifth, sixth, eighth hand advice. Oh, man. He's you in other dimensions with no success and no self-esteem. He's me. Oh, dude. I don't want NPC music, this guy, dude. I feel bad for him. Nick, thanks, brother. This dude's not bald. He's a conehead. All right. Let's hear him out.
And integrated, who can be masculine, but is also emotionally aware, intelligent, and
The Matrix got his goal. You guys are clowns.
fearless when it comes to achieving his goals.
Are you an Andrew Tate adherent?
I'm not a dogmatist by any means, but I do think that he's serving a valuable role. I think that he's making a positive difference, and he does say a lot of controversial things because he's an extreme person. Like, he is not your normal, average guy.
I wrote down some of the things that he said. Some of my
Here we go. So the moment you say you support somebody or like, what they have to say, they're going to immediately go, here's some of the things he said. Absolutely pulls someone's worst takes ever and use that as a definer of somebody's entire character. Here we go.
Absolutely cannot repeat. But he says, I think my sister is her husband's property. Would you agree with that line of thinking?
Not
See?
in the literal sense, no.
Well, I understand. He doesn't have.
Yeah, well, I mean,
He doesn't own her.
women are obviously people, not objects, but it's one way of looking at things, misogynistic as that might be. We might not have the same biological roles, but I think women are really smart overall.
Yeah. Do you think there is a pecking order in a relationship?
I wouldn't say a pecking order. I would say that men bring certain strengths, women bring other strengths.
You say boys will be boys. Is that a good thing or a bad thing, and what's it mean?
I think it's a good thing. I mean, for boys to be boys, explore the masculinity, find ways to meaningfully challenge themselves and grow.
Yeah. You said when you were younger, you were an aimless loser.
I was kind of a coward. And
Yeah.
when I was in high school, I decided that I'm going to get to decide who I get to be in life. So I decided I'm going to be a strong, masculine guy. And so I got into lifting weights, I got into self-development, and eventually I put myself out there in the dating world a lot, and I learned a lot and grew a lot. And I would say I'm a pretty strong, confident guy now.
You said the more muscle I put on, the more affordable, attractive, healthy girls will be available to you. How does that work?
Because the more muscle you have on your body, the more testosterone your body produces to maintain it. And working out, it raises your testosterone and it masculinizes you. And feminine women are attracted to masculine men.
Really?
Yeah.
You talked about the greatest harm to men right now. You said there's a lack of positive masculine role models, and that Andrew Tate is stepping in to fill that role.
Exactly.
Okay. And you think in a positive way. And the greatest harm for women, you said teaching women to not value the right things, to go for men that are soft and not masculine.
It's part of the picture. So I'm far from the only guy who's ever felt like no one ever taught him how to be a man growing up. And so I've had my mentors, I've had my learning experiences, and there's no like one guy who I look up to. It's a bunch of men I've known who've taught me what I could be, what I could become. And
see, respect. Okay, listen. As much as we're clowning and saying controlled opposition and making fun of him and all this, it does sound real now that he's speaking about his upbringing where he didn't have masculine presence. So this is a man that grew up without a father, any man present, whether uncle or probably grandfather, anybody to really show him what it means to be a man. So he hasn't had that security blanket. He hasn't had the confidence instilled in him. He hasn't had boundaries set, and he hasn't been allowed to explore in the world and understand consequences, right? Because he was probably coddled. This is what a coddled, feminized man typically looks like, and you're seeing it right here. So he's trying to roll back all that damage. So yeah, respect, even with the jokes, dude, mad respect. It's not easy to go on a show where they're going to attack you, where they're going to make fun of you, and where they're going to basically pin you in a corner conversationally to make you look bad. Period. That's their only objective here, is to use them as a prop for the overarching whatever message of the show is, the demise of guys, or whatever it was titled.
Tate is not nearly one of the most important ones, but I do see the value he's adding. Like, there are a lot of young men, boys out there, who maybe their father's not in their life, they've had a weak father, they haven't had many positive male role models growing up, and to them, they're seeing Andrew Tate as an aspirational figure. Like, they don't have to, aspire to be 100% like him. They don't have to have the same goals, take the same action he's taking. But he's one guy of many who's showing them that they could be more.
You think 25 they're kind of going over the hump?
Well, it's one way to look at things.
That 25 thing hurts everybody, huh? I had that rule in college, man. It was 20. Me and my buddy did it. We would talk about it all the time. If she's over 25 and she's hot and she's still single, we would say the same thing. Like, yeah, there's probably something wrong here. Why wouldn't a man snatch that up? Now it's known as the DiCaprio rule because he's just made it famous. He's a famous guy that's been doing that. But everybody notices around 25 is about the upper limit to where the damage becomes unbearable. Unpopular to say, I know. But unless you were in the dating game and you've seen the difference between pre and post 25, you really can't really speak on this stuff at all. Are there exceptions to the rule? Of course. I'm sure there's plenty of people over 25 women that are absolutely amazing to be with. But in general,
nature's designed us to build things. It's designed women to carry healthy children. And so young women are more fertile. Like, that's not the entire picture of a woman's value, but biologically, younger women are just what men go for.
Okay. Rolo Tomassi is a blogger, author, and YouTuber whose 2013 book, The Rational Male, has come to be considered the unofficial Bible of the manosphere. Now, he says everything that you hear from Andrew Tate is usually a derivative of his book and his teachings.
We have women who are building themselves up according to this strong, independent, female fempowerment narrative. And as a result, all they've done is become the man that they wanted to marry. And guys don't want to have anything to do with that. So what do I tell them? What do I tell that chick who's 26 years old, who's probably making more money than most of the guys I know? She's an alpha male, right? What do I tell her? Dumb yourself down? The first thing out of my mouth is, well, you need to be more feminine, right? Get in touch with your feminine side. You've got to invest in your beauty, invest in your femininity, rather than, being worried about like starting some gourmet cupcake retail outlet. Because if I don't, then I'm not feminine, and then they're not going to want to get with me. Oh, well, you mean I'm going to be 38 and lonely? I guess I'll die alone? Yeah, unless you do something. And if that sounds like dumbing yourself down, then I don't really know what else to tell you.
Rolo, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So your book and the things that you espouse predated Andrew Tate.
Yeah, by about 10 years. All I do is present facts. And what happens is particularly now, and I've been doing this for about 20 years, you will see a lot of come-ups right now who want to take it and run with it on TikTok. They want to take it and run with it on Instagram. We live in the social media age. And a lot of the work that I've done really for about 20 years right now gets distorted quite a bit. And I think we're at that point right now where things are getting distorted. And again, to the point where I've got to come on the Dr. Phil show and be an apologist for Andrew Tate, which I am not going to do. How old are you? 24?
Got 24.
24 years
25 in a
old.
couple
So
weeks.
we're looking at a Gen Z. You're looking at a generation that was acculturated and socialized behind a screen. We have a generation of what we call lost boys right now who don't have a father figure. They don't have any guidance, whether it's masculinity or much else for that matter. And so, of course, if I can say, hey, look, I'm an older gentleman and I can help level you up, and common sense is so rare right now, we can commodify it, then I'm going to go and do my best to help men. I'm not in the business of helping men become better men. I'm in the business of helping men have the tools and the equipment so that they can build their own lives.
You say the greatest problem with men is men are purposeless and sedated by pornography, online video games, alcohol, or marijuana.
Yes, absolutely.
What do you mean sedated by?
They're escapisms is what they are. If your crummy life is, if your escapisms are better than your crummy life, then you're going to dwell.
Shout outs to everybody undergoing the Spartan Challenge right now. Big ups to you guys. You're putting in work every single day. I do pay attention to it. We have updates for that coming up too, but salute to you boys. You're working hard and you're taking care of yourselves and you're not coping anymore and escaping from reality. You're taking control.
More in those escapisms. So what do men do today when they're addicted to pornography? Anyone in this room on their phone can go get hardcore pornography anytime they want to. There's a reason why it's free. If you go and you look at marijuana being legalized, if you look at the opioid epidemic right now, if you look at the way we sedate men today, that is the number one, I think anyways, is the number one problem that we're looking at for really the latter half of the millennial generation and all of Generation Z right now.
You've been listening so far. What do you have to add to the conversation before I ask you any specific questions?
Anytime a man tries to interpret a woman, it's embarrassing. And anytime we try to interpret a man, it's embarrassing.
Okay.
Like, we need to stay in our lane a little bit more. When I hear a man telling me what I want as a woman, there's just some misconceptions being thrown about as though the generalities are true. And we're missing a huge component of relationships that's a really important one, and that's intimacy. We're talking all about prestige, and relationships have two components at their very base: intimacy and prestige. And every relationship at its core is a mix of the two. Even take the super old rich guy and the super young hot girl, there is a component of intimacy to their relationship that works for them. In addition to the prestige that comes with his success and his monetary gain and her beautiful body and her youth. And so I feel like we're missing it and we're doing a disservice to both genders. And the other thing is, it always feels like a gender battle. Like, it's always men versus women. And even at home, I cannot talk about this with my own husband. I cannot talk about men's rights with him. I want to kill him in about 30 seconds.
What do you think about Andrew Tate?
Well, first of all, everybody has heard of Andrew Tate. Certainly everybody who's under the age of 40. He had 12 billion views on TikTok. He was searched 4 times as much as recession, for example. And so people know who he is. And I think I was actually listening to Ben earlier, and I have three sons in their 20s as well. And I got to tell you, the paternal instinct in me was coming out very, very strongly listening to you. I really felt where you were coming from. But I also think the fact we're having this
I have to find this full episode, guys. If you can, link me on Discord where the hell this full episode is. I want to cover it.
conversation this way tells us what a horrible mess we've got ourselves into.
Equality is a canard right now. Equality is defined by what? See, the thing about
equal opportunities.
Okay, equal opportunities.
A female president.
But yet, okay.
Women on college campuses.
Okay,
equal
those
pay.
are equality of outcome right now,
Right.
not equality of opportunity. We have equality of opportunity. What on this side of the fence anyways is advocating for is equality of outcome. And that's the real problem that we're looking at right now.
Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me.
Get on with the task of a positive script for masculinity that is not anti-women.
So was this guy simping? Whoever seen this full episode, I can't get a beat on him off these little snippets.
Do you think that's possible?
No, I think equality is a canard right now. Equality is defined by what? See, the thing about
Equal opportunities.
Okay, equal opportunities.
A female president.
But yet, okay.
Women on college campuses.
Okay,
Equal
those
pay.
are equal.
What is he talking? All right, now he's definitely either a plant or he's on the soy side for sure. He's a male fembot. Yeah, you could tell. College campuses, women are already going to school at a 60% rate compared to 40% men, and that has dropped. The gap has widened. Men are probably going less than 40% now.
Quality of outcome right now, not equality of opportunity. We have equality of opportunity. What on this side of the fence anyway is advocating for is equality of outcome. And that's the real problem that we're looking at right now. The other part of this is that what is equality defined by? So if I have certain strengths that make me better at a particular task and you do not, then there's no equality between the two of us, if you can see what I'm saying here.
Okay, this is the right argument. Can I respond?
Sure.
This is the right argument. So you mentioned a difference between men and women in terms of men being a bit more into things and women being a bit more into people.
Yes, I believe you quoted Dr. Pinker in your own book.
Yes, and that's true. But it's not true that all men are into things and all women are into people.
But
the
more
distributions
are than are
yes.
not on
so
the
what
bell
that suggests, based on work that I've looked at, is that under conditions of equal opportunities, you wouldn't have 50% of engineers would be women. 30% of engineers would be women. Right now, it's 15%.
That's also incorrect. So we've seen it in more egalitarian societies. This has been quoted so many times before in the Nordic countries. They're more free and equal than any other country. And the women chose radically different paths. The gaps widened in the jobs women chose compared to men when they were given the most freedom. Shout out to Norway. He already misquoted when he said college campuses, we want equality of opportunity. Where then? Then you have to cut some women going to college and bring up more men because of the gap.
Now you might say, well, of course only 15% of engineers are women. Their brains don't work like that. Whereas I would say, I think we've got quite a long way to go.
I have a question about what y'all are going back and forth about. So what? What the hell difference does it make? What's that have to do with equality? The fact that if men are more into things and women are more into
let them choose. Yeah.
What different? So what does that have to do with equality? Because look, I've been married 46 years. I've been with my wife for 50 years. We've been married 46, and we are not alike in so many ways. But let me tell you, I don't want to be married to me. I guarantee you.
I think we can all agree.
Yeah, no.
That's unanimity on that point.
No, I don't want to be married to someone that thinks like I do, acts like I do, behaves like I do. I don't want to be married to a mirror image of myself.
But
I want to be married to somebody that is different, but that doesn't mean that one of us is more or less than the other person. We just bring different ingredients to the table.
All I'm arguing is these are differences on average, and they're going to differ in different places.
But Richard's talking about
but we are
equality when it comes to opportunity, which I agree with. And Rolo's talking about equality when it comes to outcomes, which he says, we can't predict and we can't create. But I think Rolo wants it for men. I think you want outcomes for men to improve. You just aren't worried about the female outcomes.
Okay, what I would like to see is especially for men, is a focus on it, for a focus on masculinity to begin with at all. Because we can't even have this conversation. Right. We could not have this conversation at a major university in the United States right now without somebody shouting.
Hang on.
Let me interrupt because I want you guys to know who Imran is.
Dude, they're cutting off so much of what is happening in this conversation. I don't have access to the full episode, guys. If you do, please get on Discord and link it.
He was instrumental in taking Tate down from YouTube. Why was that important?
Thank you. Who said thank you? Look at the smirk on his face. Yeah, that was me.
Because the ideas that he spread are toxic to the young men that he's primarily being fed into. The TikTok algorithm is set up in a way that it feeds you the most controversial content first. Andrew Tate himself understands the algorithm in the way that digital natives do. Within 2.5 minutes of opening a new TikTok account, you're being fed Andrew Tate videos. Right. And that's why he's one of the most seen men in the world talking about men. And the problem is that the ideology that he, of course, is based on yours, Rolo, which is, one way of looking at the world. I don't think it necessarily leads to great outcomes for people. I don't think it leads to great outcomes for relationships.
Oh my God!
The problem is that your ideology is phenomenally reductive, and ultimately it leads to failure.
And yet
And
I've been
that
responsible
ideas,
for
those
taking the
ideas-
noose off of millions of men's necks
And
for
those
the last-
ideas-
for the last 12
Those ideas, when amplified,
What does that mean?
when added with the social media overlay of controversy, it's led to lots and lots of
What
young
does
men
that
being
mean?
taught by Andrew Tate that the way to treat a woman if she disrespects you is to grab her by the neck and grab them.
You're not even listening when he said, what does that mean? He's just checking his papers and shit. He's like, all right, let's move on. What was the next topic I was supposed to talk about on this shit? Yeah. Come on, man.
Machete.
Again, I'm not here to be an apologist for someone who has taken my work and distorted it into his red meat social media empire.
Do you have a story or a question for me?
Yeah, they always do this. They try to align you with said person. If you say you agree with one thing they said, all of a sudden you're their ally and you support everything they've done and guilty by association and you're part of the group and you should go down with them too. So that's essentially what they were trying to do, is pin this on Rolo and say, he's somehow responsible for all of this happening. You know, they took your book, bro, and then they twisted the words around and you radicalized somebody. And then now look at what you've spawned because of your work. That's not really what happened here. But they won't stop. See, this is, oh man, this is going to lead to some changes in the quote manosphere. Whatever happens to Tate with his case, only God knows, we'll see. They just keep holding him there, so we just got to wait. Innocent until proven guilty, period. That's how the justice system should work. So we'll see what, quote, evidence they have and what ends up happening with the case. But it won't stop the community at large and the magnifying glass we have on us here for anybody talking about this kind of content. It's we're on borrowed time. We're going to have to use different words. We're just going to have to cover things completely from a new angle. Something as simple as male-female dynamics in the future could be considered hate speech, could be considered a true misogyny that will just blanket wipe you off a platform, right? Like you can't even discuss these things maybe in the future. I mean, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, just look at the progression of what is essentially allowed speech on these, you know, captured platforms. It is what it is, guys. This is why anybody, if you want to support, just become a member on Locals. It's free.